everybody. We are recording this Majors Detroit, mostly special, a little bit on some other stuff. Wednesday, February 11th, year of our Lord 2026. We are experiencing a heat wave in this winter right now, though it is probably doing some damage to everybody's tires, myself included. Garrett Comet's here. Joined as always by our production maestro. Even when he is not here, he's still here. Adam Hernandez. Adam, how are you this evening?
I am wearing shorts right now.
That tells you how much of a heat wave is taking place in this state right now to give
Once
you
it
a
gets up, once it gets up past 30, it's shorts time. That's shorts weather in the Midwest.
anyone that checks this out on our YouTube channel, feel free to drop a comment if you feel like Adam's an absolute sicko for his thoughts, or if you're part of, shorts above 30 nation. This episode,
I used to be much more like like rigid and strict about it. Like if it was above 50 degrees, I was wearing shorts. It didn't matter if it was 51 degrees or 50 degrees. I was wearing shorts that day as long as it hit that threshold. I don't know. I don't so
um,
much do that anymore though.
I mean, yeah, we get older, things evolve, and everything goes from there. This episode today is mostly going to be about the Detroit Red Wings. We are a week now since the Wings played their last game before the Olympic break. The men's hockey Olympics actually just started today. So three Red Wings are in the Olympics. Dylan Larkin playing for Team USA. Lucas Raymond playing for Team Sweden, and Moritz Seider for Team Germany. So, plenty of fun things to go about. But as we begin tonight, we wanted to kind of just do this episode to give our thoughts right now, because technically we're basically two-thirds of the way done with this NHL regular season. 58 games played by the Detroit Red Wings as of their last game on February 4th. They are in second place in the Atlantic Division with third place in the Atlantic Division, tied with the second place team in the Montreal Canadiens with 72 points. 6 points behind the Atlantic Division leaders, the Tampa Bay Lightning, who also have 3 games in hand on the Red Wings. The Red Wings are one of, along with the New York Islanders and Minnesota Wild and Edmonton Oilers, they've all played 58 games, which is up there for the most in the NHL in this first half of the year, only behind the Washington Capitals, who have played 59. So when we last recorded our full scale, Adam and I, after Christmas, we were talking about what a great December it was for the Red Wings. Kind of continued a little bit of a blip in the beginning of the new year with two tough games against the Penguins. The rest of January seemed to roll in relatively well when I'm looking at how this Red Wings team did,
Except for the end.
getting
Except for the end.
except for the end. A great road trip even too, and then the last week of January saw a 1 point gained out of six, two regulation losses, one overtime loss. Including a 5-0 loss to the Colorado Avalanche. Fun fact, any game that we've played on ABC or ESPN, the Red Wings have not won. They have gotten a couple of overtime points, but if it's been an ABC Saturday afternoon game and it's at Little Caesars Arena, just chalk it off as that the Red Wings are getting whooped. 4-1 against Pittsburgh on January 3rd, 5-0 against Colorado on January 31st. The Red Wings then decide to begin February, going to Colorado and doing something that no team has done against the Avalanche. Shut them out. I believe that was the Avalanche. I'm trying to remember if it was their first shutout of the entire season or first shutout at home, but either way, 2-0 win before going into the break with a 4-1 loss to the Mammoth. So I'm looking at this here, 8 wins in the month of January for the Wins, 8, 4, and 3, 1-1 in February right now going into the break. How are you feeling, Adam, about this Red Wings team at the break? Um, how January ended and how they went into it. Um, I mean, granted, I still feel like it's still a great start to the season, even a little bit better than I was expecting. but now we're in about to enter that part of the year that we've been dreading because we've had reason to for the past few years.
Yeah, I mean you've got that Olympic break, which is very reminiscent of the Four Nations from last year, and then the All-Star break before that. I I mean for the most part right now, I mean you've got to feel pretty good about how things are have transpired so far this season. I mean, and how can you not? I mean, they're essentially tied for second right now in the Atlantic Division, um which is the best division in all of hockey. Um
Are none.
yeah. And is there things that need to be addressed? Yes, absolutely. Um the thing that I think the important thing to realize though right now is this team still isn't a Stanley Cup contender. Um, so I think you need to be careful as far as how you go into that trade deadline. And obviously Yzerman is. I mean, he's careful to a fault, in a lot of sense as well, which I know drives, Red Wings fans crazy. And I get it, and I understand that. Um,
Something about being a GM or a president of operations for an Illich run sports team. Oh, wait, we'll save that for another episode.
Uh, but I mean, like I said, for the most part, though, I mean, you have to be somewhat satisfied about how things are going. I mean, yes, that 4-1 loss against the Mammoths sucked. How they've kind of played down the stretch, has not been great for them. I'll tell you what, though, that coming off that loss to Colorado at home and then going back and shutting the Avalanche out. Um, in Denver, in Colorado, at Ball Arena was, I mean, something like that is encouraging because, again, I don't think a win like that is something that you would see from some of these, more recent past Red Wings teams, um, before. And like I said, I mean, there are things that need to be addressed. I mean, this team shouldn't be complete right now, and it shouldn't be seen as being complete. Um, Luckily, I mean, the break sucks in a sense that we don't know what's going to happen, but it also, given the past history, at times like this, but this is a break that they needed, especially to get a guy like Soderblom healthy because
Yeah.
he has been missed on that blue line since he's been out.
Edvardson, the other tall Swede.
Yes, yes, yes. Ivinson, I meant. I'm not Soderblom. Ivinson. Um, so yeah.
I'm going to move up some of the order that we had penciled in because I think you made a good point of things that, there are needs that need to be identified. March the 5th is the NHL trade deadline. What do you feel is, if you're Steve Yzerman, you're going into it because the Wings, in all theory, should be buyers to an extent, not like going for it being a cup unless they absolutely surprise us on a bit. Where do you see the biggest holes that need to be identified?
Well, right now, I mean, it's without question. They need a second line center. And I know that there's some smart ass Red Wings fans out there who are like, well, they need a first line center because Dylan Larkin isn't the guy. And I don't know, like Dylan Larkin gets way too much hate in this town. I don't understand the Dylan Larkin hate. Um,
I think it's because people they look at it in the sense of offensive numbers as opposed to a 200-foot game. What does Dylan Larkin bring to people see his point production, especially compared to Alex DeBrincat and Lucas Raymond, I think, and one apps and Kane even at 37 now, and you want to dog him for that. But I think when you look at Larkin's responsibilities, it's kind of like Steve Yzerman at the tail end of his career,
yeah.
being forechecking, back check, and playing against the top centers in this game, go defending them too. So he's around the point per game, which I don't think is bad in 2026 when you have that much responsibility in the NHL.
No, and considering, I mean, what this team currently lacks right now, I mean, I think it's something that you have to somewhat appreciate, um, because this team still lacks it lacks depth and it lacks that additional offensive presence within those top three, or I'm sorry, within those top six forwards on this team right now. And like I said, I mean, I'm trying to bring up his stats right now. Dylan Larkin's, that is. Let's see here. Larkin is through 58 games played. What do we have? Sorry. Um, what does he have? 26 goals?
He's got 51 points and he's a +8.
Yeah, 26 goals and 25 assists. I mean, he's for sure going to be a 30 goal scorer this year. Depending on how things go, down the stretch of this season, and depending on what is added at the deadline, I mean, Dylan Larkin could be sniffing 40. I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility here,
Yeah.
for a guy like Dylan Larkin. I
And
mean,
he's a U.S. Olympian.
and he's a U.S. Olympian. I mean, he should be the captain of that team. I have no idea why they're giving it. I mean, it seems like Austin Matthews somehow is the default, for, to captain, the United States in the Olympics or any national or any international competition, which is so dumb. Like at this
And
point,
you're
I mean, you're still going to continue to force Austin Matthews with a C. That's
and
stupid.
you and you're gonna add, and again I'll say this. I know everyone talks about Alex DeBrincat not making the US team. For me as a US hockey team guy, why is Jason Robertson not on that Olympic team? But that's just as a general, when you're talking about that game in general, that tells you the type of thing I think that's going on with hockey selection in the US hockey. So for Dylan Larkin to make the Olympic team like that, with some of these names not being mentioned, I think counters people that want to criticize Larkin for so-called lack of production.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and here's kind of where how things lie. I mean, you look at the goal scoring production with this team right now. I mean, your top three goal scorers are Lucas Raymond, Alex DeBrincat, and Dylan Larkin. Aside from them, you've got James Van Riemsdyk, who's I know we're going to get to this a little bit later, who's been
Mhm.
a pleasant surprise for them, at 14 goals. Those four guys right now are the only guys who are currently in double figures when it comes to goals scored so far this season, which isn't
Mhm.
good, because you're treading in that same territory that you have been, in seasons prior, where if one of these guys goes down, especially a DeBrincat or a Dylan Larkin, um, you could be screwed, especially if you don't make that move at the deadline.
When you look at Lucas Raymond too, Lucas Raymond, Alex DeBrincat 30 goals and 205 shots, 14.6 percentage. Dylan Larkin 26 goals on 170 shots, 15.3. Lucas Raymond, who has decided to be more of a playmaker this year, leads the
Yep.
team with 60 points. He's got 19 goals
But 41 assists, 41 assists.
on only 122 shots. He's
Hmm.
averaging 15 point. Moritz Seider has as many shots as Lucas Raymond.
Hmm.
Just and that's where it's like I love Raymond being such a playmaker, but I wish he was sometimes just a little bit more selfish.
And you, I
Because
mean, you take a step back a little bit too, and I mean, this just further highlights, the need to do something at the deadline if you are going to, and that's the thing too with this division, is there's very, very little room for error.
Mhm.
If any room for error. You may not have any room for error when it comes to this division right now. But you mentioned the shots when it came to Lucas Raymond, Garrett. As a team right now, they're at 28.4, which is 15th in the NHL, 15th in total shots taken.
Middle
Um,
of the table.
Middle of the table, but they're 20th in goals scored at 2.97. So they're just below 3 goals a game. And again, that's the lower half of the league. Um, And again, like I mentioned just a few minutes ago, if any one of those three guys in particular, I'm not adding Van Riemsdyk in there. Van Riemsdyk is a nice piece. He's a nice add. If they can get
17.1%, by the way, for Van Riemsdyk, 14 goals on 82 shots. And if you account, most of his goals have happened in the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if you can add another guy like Van Riemsdyk at the deadline, another guy that has that type of production, great, awesome. Um, but like I said, if a Lucas Raymond, an Alex DeBrincat, or Dylan Larkin go down, given those team stats, um, Red Wings are probably in trouble. Red Wings are
hmm
in trouble. I don't know if they have the scoring depth to make up for something like that. And you could very well see um, kind of that February, March tailspin for them if that were to happen.
I think my biggest need is going to be a right-handed defenseman, something else to, because we already know Moritz Seider's playing well enough where he could find himself in the Norris discussion,
Yep,
depending on how this
completely
season ends.
agree.
He's already Simon Evanson's been great, but again, a left-handed player, and obviously when he gets injured. But other than that, what your right-handed defense, you got Ben Sherratt, who I was kind of surprised to hear that they already had made the extension. I like the term. I think I appreciate Sherratt. I think it was less money compared to his previous contract overall, but wanting to stay in Detroit for his family.
Mhm. Yep.
So, and I think, this year I think has been warranted. But you have Axel Sandin Pellikka. But I would like one more right-handed D just to reduce some of the big pressure situations ASP might find himself in these last 7 weeks of the season when the NHL resumes in 2 weeks. Um, I mean, Rasmus Anderson would have been a guy I would have loved. Vegas got to Calgary before we did. So who else can we get on that? That's where I would look. I don't think we need to worry about goaltending unless you
No, absolutely
lose.
not. Absolutely not.
Not not with John Gibson playing the way he has, 4 shutouts this year, all on the road. So it's yeah. I mean, secondary scoring is huge. But I feel like we need more a right-handed D. One right-handed defenseman. I'll feel really good.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I agree. I mean, the two things that they need the most is they need a second line center and they need a right-handed defenseman. Those are the two. Um, those are the two primary needs for this team right now. I mean, and I know they're looking towards possibly adding Vincent Trocheck. Um, Nazem Kadri's name has been thrown out there. If you are the Red Wings, you're probably going to want to look more towards Vincent Trocheck than Kadri for a couple of reasons. Um, One,
Versatility.
versatility. Also, um, I know Kadri's making a little bit more money than Vincent Trocheck is, but also there's the face-off aspect too. Trocheck is a much better face-off taker than a Nazem Kadri, and right now, um, the Red Wings could get a little bit better when it comes to their face-off percentage. Right now, they're in the top 10. They're at 51.1%. But again, when you are a team that is that doesn't have a lot of depth, um, or a lot of I hate using the term, maybe the term depth with this team, because their depth
You,
right now is they have a lot of younger guys, when it comes to those
you got a
depth
lot of glue
pieces.
guys. You got a
Yeah,
lot of glue
and
guys. You need one more guy that can
yes.
step up a little bit more when called on.
Yeah, and I think that I like that aspect of Vincent Trocheck, who's able to come in and help that face-off aspect with this team, which is, and again, that's been another concern with this team too, um is I think that he's a guy that you can add to the penalty kill. Penalty kill hasn't
hmm
been great this season. Ironically enough, the power play has been pretty decent. Um, but a Trocheck is a guy that I think can help on that penalty kill if he's able to go in there and help when you face offs. He's also be able, he could also, I mean, as a face off guy and a guy that you can depend on, he's also going to be important too when it comes down to what this team is able to do late in games. Those face-offs late in games in your own end are so, so important, especially when the other team has the goalie pulled, or if if they've been peppering you with shots all night long. Um, that's
A
why I'm more.
right-handed a right-handed center too, which the only two that we've had play for us. He's listed as a center, Mason Appleton, but a lot of times Mason Appleton's been playing on the wing for us, but can play center. And then Nate Danielson when he was up. Everyone
Mhm.
else is a left-handed center on this team. So that adds I think that's another thing why you go for Trocheck. Also, Kadri, I mean, Trocheck's 30, he'll be 33 in July, and Kadri's 30, was he might, because Kadri 30 is older than that. I know that. 'Cause I remember when we started in 2010, 2011, 1990. So he's going to be 36 in October.
Yeah,
So,
so Kadri's a little bit older. A guy in defense you're probably looking towards is Justin Falk.
yeah,
Again, guy with a right-handed shot. Um, that's probably one of the top guys that Eisenman is probably looking at right now. And another important thing to keep in mind too, when it comes to this trade deadline, like I said earlier, um, you got to be careful when you're entering in this particular trade deadline, because the Red Wings aren't in a position right now where they are necessarily one piece away from um, competing for the Stanley Cup. I don't think that this team is a Stanley Cup contender. Are they a contender for, to
not
get to
without
the
some
play?
help.
No, not without a lot of help, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, are they a contender for the playoffs? Yes, absolutely. They're doing that right now. Should they get into the playoffs? Yes, absolutely. Is this a team that should go in and possibly and hopefully win a first round matchup? Yes, that's what they should be aiming for right now. And if that's the case, they don't want to be looking at guys with, just 1 year remaining on their contract. That's not something they want to do. And all reports indicate right now is that Yzerman is looking for guys with term, which would certainly fit, I think, with Kadri and Trocheck as well. I'm pretty sure. I'm not quite sure where the contract lies with Falk right now,
Looking
um,
that up.
but. In any sense, when you are looking for guys with term, it's usually going to cost you a little bit extra. Um,
He's a free agent in 27.
Okay, so he's another guy that has term. Um, when you are looking for these guys with term, it's going to cost you a little bit extra when it comes to that return and what you're willing to give up. For the Red Wings, they have a lot of pieces that they can dangle out there, and some of it may hurt. Some of it's, because you could be looking at a guy like Nate Danielson going the opposite way in any deal. You could be looking at a
Marco
guy like
Casper.
yeah, you could be looking at Marco Casper. You can be looking at a guy like Trey Augustine, given what Sebastian Cossa has been doing this year in Grand Rapids. Um, those are certain types of guys that that the team may have to part with in order to get like a Vincent Trocheck back here, or a Nazem Kadri, or a Justin Falk. Um, so I mean, and again, it's just because of that term, and teams should be asking for that, and in a trade package. Um, so I mean, it's just it's one of those things where the Red Wings are in a position right now where they have the pieces. Um, it's just determined what they're willing to give up. I know I heard some people that are kind of down on them by not getting um
When
Panarin
he is.
from New York.
Yeah, yeah,
But
Panarin too. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, Panarin, he wanted to go to LA. He wanted to go to the Kings, and that was it. So that took the Red Wings out of it. And you know what? I'm kind of happy for that too, just because of what he was going to command as far as the salary goes.
Yep.
And what we would probably would have had to maybe have given up for him. I don't think that that's something that the Red Wings needed to mess around with, given the age and everything like that.
And it reminds me a lot of when people were upset about us not really going for Steven Stamkos, which it sounds like if you hear some of the rumblings, it seemed like Steve Yzerman wanted to make a play for Stamkos, but was, clamped down. As we can now see based off of, I haven't looked at his numbers in Nashville, but when you look at Nashville as a team in general, we were pretty good. It was a smart shortstop out of that.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Yzerman has made some mistakes, obviously, when it's come to free agency. I thought he's done very well when it comes to the draft. Obviously, there's a lot of questions, a lot to be desired when it comes to Yzerman's, free agent activity. Um, but this past season though, this past off season, going out, he's nailed it on two guys. JVR and John Gibson have been um great ads, for this team.
right.
So hopefully that's an indication of maybe some adjustments that Yzerman has made himself when it comes to approaching free agency and um, you know, addressing the team needs from that standpoint. Um, we'll see how things go though when it comes to the trade deadline and what he's able to do and what he's willing to part with and what he gets in return.
The next thing I'll ask here, we can go short on this to go to the next topic, or we can go a little bit longer form. You're calling it. Standout player of this first big portion of the season, and one and the opposite of that.
Let me think here. Standout-ish. I already mentioned him. I'm probably gonna put John Gibson ahead of JVR slightly because I think in some sense John Gibson is probably gonna get some Vezina consideration once the end of
If
the
this team
season.
makes the playoffs, yes,
Yeah, once
100%.
the end of the season rolls around. I don't think he's gonna win it, but I do think he's gonna get some consideration for it. JVR though has been very, very good um though for this team. Um so far this season. As far as a disappointment goes, huh. I know there's probably, one guy that stands out that I'm kind of, maybe missing right now. Um, I think when you look up and down the team right now, it's kind of hard to look past like a Marco Casper in the season that he's been having. He had that big, big drought throughout most of the year. He kind of came on, a little bit more recently. He's the guy that you wanted that you'd like to see get going a little bit more. Um, Another guy is, you know, I know he hasn't lived up to this and people have kind of moved on from it. But it's Michael Rasmussen. You know, it's what is he at right now?
14 points in 53 games played, -4, averaging just under 13 minutes a game of ice time.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's
He does have the
disappointing.
lone shorty this year for the team in Ottawa.
Um, Another guy is Elmer Soderblom, another guy that you'd want to, have use his size a little bit more. I know at the beginning of the season, he was a guy that seemed like he was going to fall into McClellan's doghouse a little bit. But he's a guy that that just hasn't looked good this year. Um,
3 points in 38 games,
yep.
-4, 4.8 shooting percentage, averaging just under 11 minutes a game.
Yep. And then like you mentioned too, I'm not saying he's a disappointment, but um given what we lack on this team, and again, I hope people don't take this the wrong way because he is still very much a high producing forward, is like you mentioned earlier, Garrett, um, you want Lucas Raymond to shoot more.
Yeah.
19 goals at this point in the season right now. There could be more. There could be more
See,
from him.
when we are complaining about our guy who's leading the team in points and tied for 19th in points in the league at over a point per game clip,
I get it. Yeah. I mean it's silly to think that
but he
when
needs to shoot more. Tom
he
McClellan's
needs
even said that.
he needs to shoot more. Yes. Yes. Lucas Raymond needs to shoot more. And that's you looked at all the concerns with this team too, Garrett. You kind of look at the opposite end of things here and you're like, okay, this team could be much better and a lot more scary if Lucas Raymond kind of comes around a little bit more with that shot. Um,
Because
but
he's got the best when he wants to let it rip. We've seen some that goal in Minnesota.
yeah,
Um, yeah, like I'm happy he's playmaking. I like, he's a team first guy, but sometimes there's a point where you could be too team first.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna go. So you
I
went
went with John.
Ras
I went with John. Let's just say I went with a couple of guys. Let's say John Gibson is my guy that
standout.
stand out, and then let's just go with
Who's your number one disappointment?
um let's go with Mazer again. I think he could be producing more. Um,
Baser?
oh, I'm sorry. Um, Marco Casper. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Marco Casper is having to me, it's tough for Marco Casper because if we were just grading it before the end of December 100% with you, this is just like how last season went. Like the
Hmm.
coaching change last season, he tore it up. I liked what I've really seen from Casper the last 3 or 4 weeks or so. He's got
Hmm.
like an edge back to his game. You went Rasmussen, I get that. You went Soderblom, definitely. I mean, the guy is 6'8", 6'9". This one's going to be tough for me. I'm going to go Oppo for. I'm going to go the disappointment first, the opposite first, and then I'll go stand out. I think we've talked about this enough before. We had a member of our Detroit City FC community who's passed on from us a couple years ago, Josh Prentice, who's a big, big, big hockey guy. Loved hockey. I remember his reaction when the Red Wings signed JT Compher,
Hmm.
and we've talked about this. He was happy to see Compher join the Wings. He was upset at the length of term.
Yeah, a lot of people were.
Yeah. And JT Compher brings a lot to the game as far as a 200-foot game. He's often on the kill. He's often a defenseman and everything. But like Lucas Raymond, the guy can also shoot. But I'm looking at his totals right now, 19 points in 58 games. -5. He's averaging 15 minutes a time. He's got a nice amount of shots at 69, but 11% 0.6. But the thing is, when you look at what happens when, and he can play center too at times. What happens when an Andrew Kopp goes down if he goes down again, like what's happened in the last couple seasons?
Mhm.
Is he going to be able to fill that role? Because Andrew Kopp, by the way, I'm not going to name him as a standout. Andrew Kopp's had his best year in a Red Wings uniform, I think, especially manning that second line. But Comfer, I think, is the one for me, especially we talk about when we need goals in key situations. Who and the other teams like the top shutdown D guys have got Larkin stitched up, DeBrincat stitched up, Raven stitched up. Who's going to step in there if before we make any moves? You know, JT Copper's got to be one of those guys sometimes, and I'd like to see that a little bit more.
Nope, I get it,
Um,
and that's a good one. I mean, I was considering Comfort myself. Um, I just I think when it comes to a guy like JT Compher, and this is the way I'm looking at it, I'm not saying that you're wrong or anybody's
yeah,
wrong for mentioning JT Compher in this sense. Um, I just think JT Compher's, I mean, what you see is what you get with him.
right.
That's why I was like hesitant to even name Rasmussen because he is what he is at this point. Um, I think a guy like Marco Casper, he could be better. He could be better. He should be better. than what he
He's
is.
the
And
young one too.
yeah, and like you said too, you've seen glimpses of it these last few weeks with him, and that's great. I hope that continues, especially once we, come out of the end of this Olympic break right now. Um,
Mhm.
so I mean, but like I said, I get it. I get where you're coming from with a guy like Cheeky Comfort.
Standout guy for me, Alex DeBrincat. You look. I was a little hesitant with the amount we got. The amount of hoops we went to bring him in for Ottawa.
Hmm.
Had a massive dry stretch in 23-24 that I think with Raymond out for a couple games, with Larkin out for that big stretch, hurt us in our collapse and not making the playoffs that year. Um, what I've seen from Alex DeBrincat this year is his whole 200-foot game. Um, Sometimes single-handedly willing this. The reason why we had 1 point in the three home game stretch at the end of January was because Alex DeBrincat scored 2 goals in 40 seconds, including ripping one off the camera in the camera hole to tie the game with against the Capitals when we were just absolutely flat. Um, I think he has played with an edge that I didn't know he had. And when you look at this, which when you also look at Dylan Larkin's in his 10th plus season with this Wings team. Yeah, I think of the Michigan guys now on this team. You have Andrew Copp's another guy like that. Um, and now you got, you know, DeBrincat, who should get 40 goals. And if he gets really, 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 really hot, he could push 45. And if he wasn't dry for the first 6 games or so, because we always talk about Lucas Raymond not shooting. You don't have to worry about Alex DeBrincat not shooting. Alex DeBrincat is going to fire shots.
Hmm.
He's got carte blanche to do that. But
That's his
like I said,
job. That's his job.
yeah, there's so much to his game, and I've been to 3 games this year at LCA where I've seen just his overall play on the ice. He was responsible when we were way up top at the Sergei Fedorov game on January 11th. Hard to believe it, January 12th, which is already insane that we're a month already since then. Andrew Copp does the dirty work in the boards on there in the corner, and you're looking in, and I'm like, please kick it out because you can just see Alex DeBrincat then coming in wide open along the side of the board into the top of the zone. And then once he does that, it's keeping plays alive that I don't think he would have done a year or two. Maybe that's credit to Todd McClellan and the coaching staff to an extent, but I think that a guy like that, if he's in his bag, with that extra motivation. And maybe there's a sense of being pissed off of being left off on Team USA. I think for the Olympic game, I don't know if the break it would have been too much great on that. And the only reason I'm saying that's because of size. He's dealing with what he's got, but you're sometimes it's maybe not the best thing. Um, he's going to be maybe we need him firing for sure in these final 24 games. But I think
Um,
it's him. I think for me, it's him on that. It's tough because you can mention other great guys, Raymond, Gibson, Sider, but to me, it's the Brinkett.
thing with Alex DeBrincat too is this team is gonna have to think about what they want to do with him moving forward. He is a unrestricted free agent after next season.
Can't
So,
believe it's that. So I can't believe it's already been that long.
um, so this is, I mean, and he, you know what? He is only 28 years old. So he's going to be an unrestricted free agent when he's 29. So he's going to be looking for that one last big contract. Um, and I I'm sure Iserman is going to go and give it to him. I mean, this is a guy where his hometown, I mean, he's from Farmington Hills. Um, he's, he kind of strong-armed his way to get to the Red Wings from Ottawa. Um,
Still
I,
gets
I
booed every time he touches the puck at Ottawa. I love
yeah, I
it.
mean, he's going to, I mean, Iserman, I think is going to, they're probably going to engage in contract, extension talks this summer. Um, and you hope that a deal gets done. I hope a deal gets done. Alex DeBrincat is worth returning for this year. I mean, right now, I think he's making over 7 million a season.
He's
Um,
8.25 this year, but next year he's only making 6.75. So making less money next year in the final year of the contract.
and he has a cap hit of 7.8 right now, I believe, um, according to Puckpedia.
Yeah,
But
Sport Trek's got 7875.
okay. Um, so that's something that needs to be considered moving forward here. Um, is a guy like Alex Spring. And you know what? Given his production, this is a guy that you can't let get away. You can't let Alex DeBrincat get away. Because again, what are you gonna what do you, I mean, because right now the Red Wings are at the point right now where they need to continue to move forward. Um, the rebuild when it comes to making the playoffs and making some waves in the playoffs should be over. Um,
Fucking
and
please.
you need a guy like Alex DeBrincat to to keep that sustainable. So I mean it's a no-brainer in my opinion, to bring back Alex DeBrincat, and I hope and I think that Yzerman will start those contract extension talks this summer because you don't want to get into a situation where the season starts and DeBrincat is in the final year of that. So
No, especially a hometown local area
yeah,
because it's
yep.
this wins team lately has made, at least when Dylan Larkin joins, made a big deal of local guys on their roster.
Hmm.
So that'll be no one.
A local guy
Um,
that's producing. I mean, that's
yeah.
produce a guy that's producing is the most important aspect of it. So
You talked about the final stretch. Let's get into it. Going into the final stretch, we want to know why the Atlantic Division is the hardest division in the entire National League. Definitely the Eastern Conference. There's eight. You have each division gets three automatic teams, and then the conference has two remaining wild card teams. All those wild card teams are from the Atlantic Division. Lightning are at 78 points. The Canadians and Red Wings are both at 72, which, by the way, you give me Montreal Detroit first round playoff series. Oh my God. Um, but then the first wild card team, 2 points behind Montreal and Detroit's the Buffalo Sabres, looking to end the 15-year playoff drought.
hmm
And then behind them is a Boston Bruins team all of a sudden, who
Boston
are
just won't
kicking
go
them.
away. Boston will not
They're
go away.
they should have more points because they blew a 5-1 lead in what was the most watched NHL regular season game in the Stadium Series against Tampa, and then they also lost to the Panthers. But then
This
you
is,
look
I
at the
mean, I
rest,
mean, it's a team though that should be on the down side of things.
100%, 100%. Morgan Geeky for them, 32 goals leading that team. So they're getting production in ways that you don't expect. And that's even with Pasternak. Pasternak's only got 22 goals, but he's got 71 points. So, yeah. But then you look at the rest of the Atlantic. I mean, right below the Bruins in the wild cards, Columbus all of a sudden, who's ripped off 7 games in a row, which means Zach Werenski's probably not going to be being offered in the trade deadline. Even though he might still be upset about the terms of when we tried to get him a few years ago, but that's another time, different story. Washington Capitals, 65 points. They've played the most games though. Um, they're not far away. Um, because the leaders in the Metro, you got Carolina at 78, Penguins at Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh Penguins are a team that what?
Again, another team
um,
that won't go away.
they're in the automatic. And Anthony Mantha for them. Remember that name, folks. 20 goals and 22 assists, 42 points in 56 games. He's a plus 14.
Hey, good for him.
19.2 shooting percentage. Yeah.
Good for him.
Wish he was with us. But yeah, God, man. Mantha was like the new Franzen when we think about it, when we react to the hope of everything, right? Mantha
Well,
reminded me a lot of that buzz,
I mean,
minus playoff success.
Jimmy Delavano throwing him under the bus earlier on in his time in Detroit certainly didn't help things too. So
Right. The rest of the Atlantic, I don't know if I want to call them dead and out of the water. The Ottawa Senators are at 63 points. They're 6 points behind the Bruins for the last wild card spot. Also 6 points behind, but winners of their last three, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Last in the Atlantic Division. The team that's come represented the Eastern Conference in the Stanley Cup Finals the last three times, winners of the last two, the Florida Panthers at 61 points.
And how many points again? I'm sorry, outside of play that final wild card.
Eight.
I mean, it's
And that's the question. And the main thing for them is, are they going to activate Alex Barkov in April?
I mean, that's the thing is you have the defending Stanley Cup champions 8 points out of the which is the last place team of
The
the
only the only teams that are worse than the Panthers, because the Panthers are technically even worse than the Flyers because they've played one more game. The only two
yeah.
teams that are worse are the Devils at 58 points and the Rangers at 50.
Yeah, the last place team in the Atlantic. And it's again, that just goes to show how ridiculous this division is right now.
Yeah.
When you talk about there being zero room for error, there is zero room for error um, when it comes to all of this.
So it's February 11th right now. Let me tell you what the Winds. So the Winds come back into action on February 26th. They have three games on the road. They've already been on road for two before the break, three on the road after the break. At Ottawa on the February 26th, at Carolina on February 28th, at Nashville on March 2nd. Then you have Vegas and Florida at home, March 4th and March 6th. Then you have four on the road, March 8th through the March 14th. New Jersey, Florida, Tampa Bay, and Dallas.
It's a grind. That is an absolute grind. And again, more reason to go out and um get some help at the deadline.
And then
Because
to end March, after that, you're home to Calgary. Then you're home to Montreal, home to Boston, home to Ottawa, and then at Buffalo, home to Philadelphia, at Pittsburgh. And then
yeah,
that's your total mark.
yeah, March is a grind, and March is going to be everything to this team too. It's
Yeah.
going to be absolutely everything to this team. Um, You know what? It's good right now that this break is happening, um, because they needed to get Edvinson healthy. You need Edvinson healthy to heading into the stretch right now. And now right now you're getting that time for him, and he is going to return. I believe that's what McClellan said. Um,
After the
when
break.
he was down, he was going to be back after the break, like right after the break, not like, oh, well, he might come back like a game or two, into that second half. He is, I believe that was the report, is that he was going to be back right after the break. Um, and you're going to need him. You're absolutely
Yeah.
going to need him. I mean, this is just an insane gauntlet that they're going to have to run through here. Um,
Fifth
this
hardest
whole,
schedule the rest of the season behind Tampa Bay, Calgary, Boston, and Pittsburgh.
and you look at those
Tampa
other
Bay's got
teams.
to make up those three games though too, so that could also work for our favor.
Yeah, and you look at these, you look at the teams too. You look at Boston, you look at Tampa Bay. Again, um, teams in your
Tampa Bay's
conference.
playing out of their mind. Tampa Bay's
Yeah.
playing out of their mind.
So I mean, they're in the same exact position that we are right now. Again, it is a grind. It is a gauntlet that they're going to have to run through, and you just hope that they go out and you get some of that help at the deadline. If they don't get that help at the deadline, man, I'm not saying that they won't get it done. I mean, because they're in this position right now without that extra help, but it's just an even tighter rope to walk when it comes to that depth and making sure guys stay healthy. Uh, so I
Other
mean,
teams around them are going to make moves.
yeah,
So,
they should be
and I've
making moves.
already have been making moves. So,
And this is why too, you got to be prepared to lose some of these guys, lose some of these younger pieces that you have. So I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, would you say March 5th is the deadline?
yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna
three
be yeah, it's
three
gonna be
weeks.
yeah. See how things shape up with it.
When we begin April 1st, this will be the last question on wins, and then we'll round it up with our discussion on a couple other Detroit sports topics. Will the Detroit Red Wings on April 1st, in the morning of April 1st, be in a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference? And if yes, will they be in one of the two wild card spots, or will they be one of the top three in the Atlantic?
Yes, they will be in playoff position. They will be in one of the top three in the Atlantic. They've gone this far, um, to have that consistent spot within those top three spots in the Atlantic Division. I don't think there's any reason why. I don't think that there's any reason why to, go against it right now. I mean, you can throw out a bunch of hypotheticals out there right now, but based off what we've seen up until this point, they've been in that spot all season long. And you've gotta, I mean, unless you're some ardent pessimist, um, you should be saying that they're going to maintain that trajectory and they're going to maintain that rhythm, um, you know, heading into March, throughout March, and then once April rolls around. So,
Last brief thing on the Red Wings. Adam knows we're uniform nerds. Um, I was doing some fumbling around because Aesthetics is down, the old NHL sweater details of up and stuff, and Uniwatch is in hiatus as they're trying to figure out their future. So I was going around sportslogos.net. I believe that's the
hmm
actual website, Chris Kramer Sports Logos.
yep.
The NHL and Fanatics has trademarked something called Hometown Remix
hmm
to go into place in the 26-27 season. So probably maybe their version of which is probably a mix of reverse retros and the city programs, say rivalries in the NFL, City Edition NBA, City Connect Major League Baseball. There was a screener that was dropped, I think, in some of the people that were close to the situations of teams with primary colors of these things. A lot of teams have some unique colors. Sounds like could the Florida Panthers be doing their version of a Miami Vice? Or perhaps somebody said even the Pink Panther based off Roberto Luongo's goalie mask. The Wings are listed right now as red being their prime, like as a whatever that thing on there. Whatever else it is, I have no idea. When you think hometown remix and you think about this team, do you think they're going to bring black back like the reverse retros of 20, was it 22, 23?
I
Or
hope
do
not.
you see them, or do you see something like we bring in this is where the octopus comes into play? Or,
Um,
or
so
they
is it?
bring verdigris to the
Oh
color
God.
palette.
Um, so what do we
Or
think? Are thinking there's gonna be like a City Connect type thing that they do?
I don't know if it's a retro or modern, if it's going to be retro themed, if it's going to be a thing that connects their to the city that they're in. Um, that's where I'm wondering, right? You
I
know,
mean, when you're a team like Detroit or Toronto or um you're it seems like you're kind of limited when it comes to those, those different options out there because your color palette is very, very limited. I mean, technically speaking, you only have one color.
two
Um,
colors. If you're counting white as a color.
well, that's what I'm saying. If you're not counting white, you only have one color. Um, every team out there has white as part of their palette for the most part. Um, but I don't know. I don't want to see black. I don't want to see black at all. I think I think I've told you this before, Garrett, when we've had our jersey talks. I just think black is a very lazy option. It seems like teams that go towards black that normally doesn't have it part of their color palette, um, use it in a very lazy sense. Um, if they don't have any other ideas, oh, let's just go to black. I liked what the Lions did this year. I did, or when they reintroduced their black, um,
Mhm.
because
I like when the Pistons do it too.
I'm so sick of the Pistons black jersey right now. That's you as I think that's your nonsensical Crystal Palace love coming out for those black Pistons
Oh, because you're
jerseys.
saying the blue and the red center stripe based off of the
Yeah,
warm-ups.
yeah.
I don't know.
I just
You
I
have good vibes with them.
if it's me, I don't know what's happening with this right now. The only thing that I want to see with this team is I want to see a consistent third jersey, and I want that third jersey to be the Centennials that they're wearing this year. Um, it could be the
Despite some
Cent.
of our biggest beatdowns this season having been wearing that uni.
I understand. I understand. Either the
I love it
Centennial
though. I
jer
love it though.
I
I'll
know
put it
either the
though.
Centennial jersey this year or the Winter Classic when they played at Michigan Stadium. Um, bring back either one of those. as your third jersey, as your permanent third jersey. And if you and adding that like that cream color
Off
um
white.
off white, uh
I
you know,
think they call it vintage, they call it antique white or whatever it is. Most
yeah,
of
I mean, do that. I don't want to see those black Chicago Blackhawk rip-off, jerseys that they had a couple of years ago. Um, I
No,
just,
that killed the design to me. If you're gonna do another color, even do silver or gray for the Stanley Cup. That would have been
yeah,
sick. The right,
I mean, gray's so bland, and I know they had that white, like that all white jersey a few years ago too, which just didn't look good. It looked like a
but
practice
silver, yeah.
jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
You know what I'd love? Red, the reverse of our current away or home, depending on what color unis the Winds were wearing at home ice. Red base, white sleeves.
What was that Stadium Series jersey that they wore? Was it last year or 2 years ago against the Blue Jackets?
It was the what it was like the red uni style in
And
terms
it
of
said
this
Detroit
one
across
cent.
it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like that as far as like white, all white sleeves with the red center block on
Hmm.
the sleeves, similar to our whites that we wore
Yeah.
pre 1957, but we've never done the red, I don't think, with the full white
Hmm.
sleeves in the style of the white with the red sleeves. I would love that. I would also love if they did that with the off-white sleeves because that would be sick.
I don't mind the D too. If they wanted to add like a
Yeah,
D to the front, like they had in the Winter Classic when they played the Blackhawks um
my
several
favorite
years ago.
alumni classic unis on New Year's Eve 2013, which I loved even more than the Winter Classic jerseys that they
Was
wore
the
at the big
red with the
house.
red, all red, and then the white D.
The white center stripe, the
Oh, the
right
white center stripe and the
center
red and
stripe
the
with
red
the
D.
red
Yeah.
D. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that was cool too. And I know that they had the red with the shield on it. That would be a throwback to the Detroit Cougars. Um, if
yep.
they want to do something, incorporate something like that. I don't want to see like an octopus on front. I don't want to see like Al the octopus on the front of a jersey. I think, excuse me, having the octopus as like just kind of like a little tiny like patch on the back, like a tag that they had on the back of like those stadium series jerseys they had when they played Columbus. You could do
Yeah.
something like that, but I don't want to see like a big giant, cartoon octopus on the front of a jersey, as like a third jersey or anything like that. I don't know. That'll look like too Mighty Duckish, when they had those dumb '90s uniforms. Um,
Speaking of the Mighty Ducks, green was listed as their color for that one, so I don't know if they're going to do the jade green of the 90s or if they're going to incorporate the Orange County flag colors because apparently green's one of the colors with orange.
if I'm the
So
Ducks, I go back to the eggplant, the plum color that they
eggplant and
had.
jade.
Yeah, those were so sharp. Um, I don't mind what the Ducks do right now. I know we're way off the beaten path here when when we're talking about this. Real quick though,
Always, we
I
always
don't
do it.
mind I don't
Always do
mind
this.
I don't mind the orange and black that the Ducks do. If they were to reintroduce though the eggplant in the jade green,
As a,
oh man.
I'll take that as an alternate, and I would also take the Kings going purple and gold alternate, like
Yeah, yeah,
because
as a cool throwback. Um, yeah, no, that would be cool. That would be cool. I
you were
guess
talking about
technically too, if you're the Red Wings, you could add yellow to the palette just because the Falcons had yellow in their palette as well. So if you wanted to do that as like a throwback to the Falcons and paying homage to the Falcons, that might be a
what
possibility.
what accent color other than verdigris is on the Spirit Detroit as far as the orbs?
Yellow,
You know,
gold,
gold.
like the gold, yeah. You can have another
That
team in the
might
city with rouge and gold.
I would I'd feel better. I might feel better about about this iteration if they're wearing rouge and gold than our other
Just,
one.
just
Cross
no
it.
verdigris, no verdigris, no verdigris, please.
See, we're crossing dimensions. We're not talking anymore Detroit City tonight on this one. But
We
you
could
did
though,
talk
we
about
could though, we could though, and I'll bring it up.
yeah,
I'll
and we'll
bring
be
something. I'll bring something up very, very, you know, short at the end.
Okay. We talked about briefly another team wearing the old English D that's also run by the same, owned by the same ownership group. Briefly, Detroit Tiger stuff. We busy week last week. If you listen to our recap stuff and even the episode that you did with Dorf, leading in, Framber Valdez, a that was not expecting that one. 3 years, $115 million. Next day, Tarek Skubal wins his arbitration hearing. Um, $32 million this year, the biggest arbitration win period. Three person panel arbitration. And then speaking of things we were not expecting, um, a return. Taco Bell's in the Metro Detroit area. You better get ready before game day because
Oh yeah,
Justin
I forgot
Verlander's
about that.
just
I forgot
Justin
about that.
Verlander back with the Detroit Tigers, 1 year, $13 million, 11 million deferred, I believe is the term on there. A lot of surprises on that. I think it makes sense then when the announcement later on that Reese Olson is unfortunately going to be out for the 2026 season, torn labrum, right? On that. Um,
Yeah, surgery for I think it was yeah the labrum. Hmm.
and then the photo down from Lakeland today. Jack Flaherty, Casey Mize, Framer Valdez, which I all nicely dressed up in the uni. Uh, Verlander and Scooble all
I was gonna
together.
say with that picture, it's because it's great because I love how Framber is wearing the jersey. At first I was like, oh, well, did they just give him a jersey to wear because he was the only guy not wearing Tiger stuff? But Casey Mize wasn't wearing any Tiger stuff too. So I just got the impression that Framber Valdez just wanted to wear his jersey, which, hey, fine, go ahead. Have at it, big
Jack
guy.
Fla Jack Flaherty looks like he's cut like shredded right now. Uh, so Tarek Skubal, we knew deserved. Well done on there.
Hmm.
I'm not looking forward to the potential bullshit that might take place throughout, well, if we're going to get anything during the season. Um, Framber Valdez and Justin Verlander. How you
I
feeling?
I think that that's from a pitching standpoint, that is everything that you could possibly ask for. Um, with this team. This isn't a team that's going to be embarking on any pitching chaos this season. Even with Reese Olson, out of the out for
Because
the
we could
rest of the
still
year.
bring Troy Melton into the mix too.
Well,
That's the
you've got, yeah,
thing also.
I mean, you've got Troy Melton, you've got, in a pinch as well, Keter Montero, um,
Brent Herter.
and I'm sorry. Yeah,
Brent
Herder.
Herter.
Yep, Brent Herder as well. Which I know that probably gives a lot of Tigers fans like Keter Montero, night sweats. Um, but also, I mean, there was Jackson Jobe was throwing today too down in Lakeland. Um,
Like,
and I know they're going to be extremely careful with Jackson Jobe. Moving forward. He was one of the guys, in addition to Reese Olson, that they placed on the 60-day DL so they can make room for some of these, like a Verlander and Valdez, getting added to the 40. Um, but, Jackson Jobe, may be one of those options for them, towards the end of the season. Um, I'm not counting on it. I'm not counting on Jackson Jobe, playing any significant role, this upcoming season at any point. But
no.
he could possibly be one of those options, um, down the road. This season, possibly. Don't count it, but it's possible. Um,
Bullpen too, when you look at Kenley Jansen coming in now with Kyle Finnegan on there, it
yep.
seems like you have some foundation, some good added foundation pieces,
Yes,
both in the
yes.
rotation and in the pen.
And that's the thing too, is you look at this pitching staff as a whole too right now. Um, I mean, you've got guys who are going to be able to come in and start games for you. So you're not going to run into a situation last year where you're kind of scrambling around, looking for starters when you had, Mize and Reese Olson and Jackson Jobe go down. That's not gonna that shouldn't be a problem for you this year, where it was, Scooble and Flaherty, and then that was it. Um, this year you've got capable guys. You've got the best 1-2 punch in all of baseball in Skubal and Framber Valdez. We already know what Skubal could do, but Framber Valdez too. I mean, his breaking stuff is absolutely sick. Um,
And he's an innings machine.
and
For
he's
those
it
that
is
were
yes,
bitching about Scooble in the division series,
yes,
Framber Valdez is the opposite of that.
yes. But right now, I mean, excuse me, you're counting on Flaherty having a bounce back season, and a guy too, and a guy in Flaherty. I mean, you talk about these additions, whether it's Frember Valdez at the top of the rotation or Justin Verlander at the bottom end of the rotation. You're looking at guys that are taking a lot of stress off of some of these other guys. Frember Valdez takes a lot of stress off of Jack Flaherty, um,
Mhm.
going into this season. Jack Flaherty just go in and pitch. He doesn't have to worry about being the number two to Tarek Skubal this year. He can go in, he slots in nicely in that 3 or 4 spot, depending on how on what he does and how Casey Mize produces this year. And just throw the ball. Throw the baseball. He gets the baseball, throw the baseball. You don't have to worry about being a top two guy. And then Justin Verlander at the back end also offers a little bit of relief to Jack Flaherty and Casey Mize as well. But he also offers up even more relief to a guy like Troy Melton or a guy like Keter Montero. So they don't necessarily have to step back into, the situation right now. Even a guy like Jackson Jobe as well. You don't have to rush back Jackson Jobe. To
Right.
take advantage of what possibly could be Tarek Skubal's last season in Detroit. There's just so many different options right now that AJ Hinch has to work with. Um, that's why these deals have been so great. And I'll tell you what, Garrett, I am so sick and tired of people coming out and calling Justin Verlander washed. I mean, based on what? What are these people watching? What, because he's 42, going to be 43 when, next, once the season starts or for the vast majority of the season? I think actually no, I think he is going to be
He's
43.
43.
Yeah, he's
He might be
43.
43 now. Yeah.
Um, but the guy was like what, a top five pitcher in all of baseball the second half of the season last year. He had a
He
sub
almost willed San Francisco back into a wild card
yeah,
spot.
he had a sub 3 ERA. Um, he had a base on ball percentage rate that was below 8. He had a 2.2 WAR. Justin Verlander was arguably better than Casey Mize last year, who was an all-star. Um,
Hmm.
And this is based off what he did the second half of the season. And if you're falling into the trap that, oh, well, he's an old guy, he's not going to be able to pitch, he's not going to give you the longevity that he has, so he's going to fall off the second half of the season. That's not what happened last year. He got
What
better
is
as he got better as the season went on. And like you mentioned, almost got the Giants into the playoffs. So I don't know where this is coming from. I think it's a bias that people have just because the guy is in his 40s. Um, but it was a perfect situation for the Tigers right now to bring this guy on, to anchor that bottom half of the rotation. And is he going to be a guy that you throw out there in a 5 game series? Um, probably not. Probably
That's
not.
where he'll pitch to, that's where he'll pitch a couple innings in relief.
He'll pitch a couple of innings in relief, but I'll tell you this though, Garrett, he's not a guy that you'll hesitate to go to if you have to in those 5 game series or those
Hmm.
7 game series. He's not going to be one of those guys you hesitate to give the baseball to start games in those situations if you need to.
What is Justin Verlander for those that are old enough and have their cognitive brain abilities in the last 10 years to still remember the first stint for Justin Verlander? What does Justin Verlander have in common with Terry Scoble and Jack Flaherty? And maybe Framber Valdez as we get to know our new pitcher more. What do they have in common? And it's more of an off the field trait that connects into their game.
Well, I mean, I don't quite know I mean, they are,
They're
well,
mentality monsters.
yes, absolutely. Yes, mentality minds. I mean, Jack Flaherty is a psycho sometimes. He'll be up there. I mean, he's like a Max Scherzer.
Mhm.
He would go out there and, sit there and yell at himself at the while he's on the mound. Um, Tarek Skubal is intense. One of my favorite clips from with Justin Verlander was I can't remember exactly what year it was. You'll probably be able to remember, Garrett. Um, it was in Oakland. It was one of the Oakland series that they had where they gave up that massive lead in one of the elimination games to move on. And Justin Verlander was
Game four, it was game. Are you talking about when Oakland was 2-1 up at Comerica and
no,
Scherzer came in and pitched bullpen?
they
Because
were on the
Verlander won game five.
they were on the road. Um, they had a big lead and they squandered it
Oh,
away.
game
And
four in Oakland 2012 when we blew the lead and Verlander had to win game five.
yes, that's probably it. And I remember watching him and he was all joyful and everything as the lead was, as they had the lead. But as Oakland started to come back, the cameras were panning to Justin Verlander, and you could start to see him get into game mode because he knew what was going to have to happen, in game five. And as the game went on, and as that lead slipped away, um, like I said, Verlander was getting into game mode, and it was awesome because then he went out in game five and just completely dominated the Athletics. And that's that mentality you're looking for. Um, so yeah, I mean
And I think it's yeah, and I'm looking forward to that because you have underage Verlander who's played under AJ Hinch, won a World Series under AJ Hinch.
mhm.
He
And you
might
get a
be
guy
done
in
after
front,
this.
yeah, and you get a guy like Framber Valdez, who is AJ Hinch's served as his first manager when he went up through Houston. So AJ Hinch, very, very familiar with him as well. Um,
Passionate guy,
yep.
yes. And that might be the thing. Sarcastic but sort of serious question. Are we going to get a bat?
I don't know. How they worked out this Verlander contract by deferring $11 million to 2030. Um, it makes you kind of think that may go out and get another bat. Um,
Is that going to be movement though instead of free agent when you look at who's available in free agency? Because it's what Luis Arias, right? Reyes or whatever it is. Doesn't seem like there's many
yeah,
guys available in free agency now.
yeah, and I mean you're gonna have to keep a good eye on McGonagall and see what he's able to do this off season or this spring training. Um,
Max Clark too is also on the sprint training roster.
he is, but I still think Max Clark is still a couple years away. McGonagall is a guy
Right.
that can win a job out of spring training this year, if he's able to hit. Um, and that's going to be the key. But another thing too is Gleyber Torres. Was his fall off last season is, you could say is due to the hernia that he had. Um, so he could be a guy that could offer up that, that offense that they need. But yeah, I mean I agree. And everybody sitting here slamming this Verlander um acquisition. Like, well, I'd rather have a bat. Yeah, I want a bat too. I want a bat too. But to go off and say that um Verlander, this Verlander signing wasn't needed is this asinine. Um, yes, I want a bat too, and they should go out and get a bat. But they also need a Justin Verlander as well.
Justin Verlander's the Tigers' version of the Aura farm move, much like what the Wings did with putting Hockey Town back on the ice and retiring Sergei Fedorov's number 91.
Hey,
Uh,
if Chris Ilitch is good at anything from what we've come to find out, it's it's getting that aura back. Is that aura farming like you?
Nostalgia farming.
Yeah, but I mean, but you know what though? I mean, in all fairness to Chris Ilitch, they're spending money right now with the Tigers. It may not be in all the right. It may not be in some of the direction that you want it to go, but um, especially with that Framber Valdez deal, um, Illich is spending money. He's spending money right now.
Hold on.
So
Let me switch you here for a second here because my audio went out. All right, can you hear me now?
I've always been able to hear you. So.
Cool. Yeah, I think you cut out. My AirPods died. So
Um,
always a fun joy.
just to reiterate though, if you miss it, I mean, Chris Ilitch is spending money now, and I mean, you can't criticize him at this point right now when it comes to the Detroit Tigers for not spending money. So,
Speaking of Illich's, there might be some alternate uni work in the Tigers that came through the mix based off an MLB The Show 26 league. We're not going to talk about this tonight because we're going to wait. We'll talk about it when it's official. The Detroit Tigers and the Detroit Red Wings were announced. As many know, Main Street Sports, what people know as FanDuel Sports Network, is going kaput at the end of the NHL and NBA regular seasons in April. All nine Major League Baseball teams withdrew from their deals in advance. So, what that means is the Detroit Tigers starting this season are going to be on something new. And it was announced earlier this week that the Detroit Red Wings and the Detroit Tigers are going to be taking place in this. The Detroit Tigers are going to have all of their games distributed and produced by Major League Baseball. We and with Jason, don't worry, everybody that you know, Jason Benetti, Dan Dickerson, Andy Dirks, Dan Petrie, are still going to be involved in that. As far as to how what will this be on? Will this be on cable on your cable and streaming plans? This is something that you're going to be paying through. Those details will be coming up. What this also means too is after this regular season for the Red Wings, Illich Sports and Entertainment is going to be handling the broadcast production duties, and Major League Baseball will assist with the production process. I believe Major League Baseball Studios covered the back when the NHL was having their streaming site, NHL.TV. So I believe this is nothing completely new for the production capabilities of Major League Baseball, but um, nothing yet as far as what the Detroit Pistons are going to be doing for 26, 27. Will it be tied to this? Will they be doing their own thing? We shall see. Your take on it.
yeah, I mean, this is another reason why maybe that Justin Verlander acquisition was made, because you eat what you hunt.
Hmm.
It's kind of like a commission based model right now for the Tigers in terms of how much they're going to earn from this. So I guess that's more incentive for them to, you know, play well this year
Hmm.
because the the better they play, the more they win, the more money they're going to be making from that from that broadcast money. Um, but I mean, ultimately, you're gonna have to find something that is, you know, more sustainable and more guaranteed. Um, when it comes to that, just because broadcast dollars are a massive, massive portion of a team's revenue, and um, yeah,
The regional sports network model dying means that
yeah,
you're losing a significant chunk of that.
who knows what's going to happen with that, and what's going to be worked out with the Tigers, Pistons, and Red Wings. I mean, we know to some degree what's happening with the Tigers and the Red Wings. Um, we don't know everything yet, but we know kind of what's happening with them. When it comes to MLB media, kind of taking helping with that. We still don't know yet what's going to be happening with the Pistons and what direction they're going to go. Um, but it'll be interesting to see what happens ultimately with all three teams. And if they start their own networks, or they signed some local deal. I can say this though, I mean, whatever happens, it's not going to be in the interest of the fan or the consumer. It's going to be in the interest of what makes these teams more money. Um, I just hope we don't have like these individual subscriptions for each team where, you have to pay like 15, $20 to watch the Pistons. Then you have to pay another 15, $20 to watch the Red Wings, and another
Right.
15 to $20 to watch the Tigers.
Yeah. So, more details. We'll announce more details on that when set up. Let's talk about the Detroit Pistons real quick. They are tipping off in a few minutes in Toronto, the last game before the NBA All-Star break. The 39-13 Pistons have the best record in the Eastern Conference by 5.5 games. As many losses as the Oklahoma City Thunder have played two more games in the Western Conference and are at 41 and 13. We're not going to talk about that. We know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what took place in Charlotte Monday night. Uh, the NBA made their ruling on the fight that has created plenty of discussion. That A Detroit team that has added ways to terrify people, including Stephen A. Smith, in a good ways. And the ruling from the NBA was the fight, which started off with a added physicality post whistle with Jalen Duren, and I'm drawing the name blank on the name, Musa Diabate,
Yep.
for the Charlotte Hornets. Duren threw a hand in the face of Diabate. Diabate saw the red mist, took a swing. Michigan State alum Miles Bridges also then tried to take a swing at Duren on there for sure. And then Isaiah Stewart got off the bench, went to go block and make sure Duren is there. Bridges took a swing at him, which was probably the dumbest thing one man can do in the period of doing things. Um, so the ruling came out as for Charlotte, Musa Diabate 4 games, Miles Bridges 4 games. For the Pistons, Jalen Duren 2 games, Isaiah Stewart 7. Part of it is leaving Stewart leaving the bench and prior history. How are you feeling about the judgment laid down by the National Basketball Association?
Um, well, the thing with Duran and call me a homer, I don't think he started it. Um, when you get a head into your face from Diabante, I think that's what ultimately started it. Um, Miles Bridges is a clown. Um, Obviously for the off the stuff, all the off the court stuff too. Seriously, screw that guy. Um, Sucks though that we're losing Stu for 7 games, which is which is more games by one than what Ben Wallace was suspended for the Malice at the Palace thing. Um,
Hmm.
I like I said, it sucks. It sucks. I mean, in a way, am I shocked that he's out for 7 games? Not really, again, because of the history that that is there with him.
Because
Um,
Boogie Cousins thought 25, Lou Williams thought 10. Like, people made it seem like it was going to be a long, long while.
no, and I think something that would be ridiculous. Well, like some people are saying 20 games.
Boogie said 25.
No, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
Again,
what I said too.
yeah, because again, you look at um some of these prior instances that happen. You look no further, like I said, than the Malice at the Palace stuff. Um, was what Beef Stew did worse than what Ben Wallace did during the Malice at the Palace stuff? You can sit there and you could argue both sides of that. Um,
Debatable, yeah.
yeah, was it worse than what Ron Artest did? Absolutely not. Ron Artest was suspended what for the rest of the season and some games into the following. Um,
Steven Jackson got 30. Jermaine O'Neal had double digits.
yeah,
Right.
and those were guys that actually went into the stands and were
Hmm.
fighting fans. Um, that's not what Stu did. He
No.
went onto the court, off the bench, and was going after one player. Um, I think you could justify 7 games for that, given the history. And you leave it at
Yep.
that. Again, 20-25 games is ridiculous. I don't know where Boogie's coming from with that. I think that's dumb.
Yeah, I think I wonder if it's because DeMarcus Cousins, similar type player during his days.
Mm-hmm.
I think because Adam Silver's commissioner now, I think Adam Silver's a little a little more lenient on these type of things than maybe David Stern was.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Boogie got similar situations like that under a David Stern ran thing, whereas Adam Silver tends to be softer on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I think there's a realization also too that the Pistons style of basketball is something that people who watch the league right now are craving for.
It's physical. It's physical. It's in your face. Um, and it sucks because of when they come back from the All-Star break, um, you know, Stu's still going to be gone for 6 games, and they got again a little bit of a gauntlet themselves. Coming on. I
Hmm.
don't want to go into it because I know we're over time right now,
Right.
but B-Ball Paul is one of those guys that's going to have to step up. Um,
Isaac Jones was brought back by the Pistons on a two-way contract. So he'll be helping out on there. I'm guessing we'll probably see some Tolo Smith too. Do they bring Dario Saric on a two-way to fill in after that? Who knows? Dennis Jenkins announced also, we got him, I feel like deserve a little bit of mention for him. The largest upgrade from a two-way contract. Um, Bet on himself, turned down a minimum.
which he should
Uh,
have.
yep. And getting two, I believe it's a 2 years, $8 million thing for this season and next season. The Pistons have the team option and control, but somebody that is turned out to make themselves an integral part of this team and maybe in a way made it easier for the Pistons to move on from Jaden Ivey with the trade last week, bringing in Kevin Herter from the Bulls.
Yep. Um, yeah. So
So, well, obviously, we'll look out for me on a recap tonight when you know the Pistons and the Raptors. We did a Pistons-centric episode with Matt Feldbush last week. That is out now on video on the Majors TV YouTube, as well as where you check out your podcast in audio form. Highly recommend that. Just Matt and I, because Adam was doing some major sacrificing, the homework
I had sixth grade homework to attend to. Just
put
do.
up as which was as strong of a fight as the Washington Wizards did against us on the
Oh
last
my
week.
God.
Um,
One
you said
quick
yeah,
Detroit, yeah, one quick Detroit City thing, and it's the women. W League schedule was released today for Detroit City FC. They
oh,
start
let
off
me look at it.
they start off the season on May 16th in Ann Arbor against AFC Ann Arbor. First home match is going to be May 23rd
Memorial Day
against
weekend.
Kalamazoo FC. They play AFC Ann Arbor and Union Macomb 3 times this season. Kalamazoo FC, they play twice, and they play.
Oh, so it's only a 10 game. I thought it was going
Yeah,
to be. I thought everybody was going to be playing each other three times per like the USL. That's interesting.
yeah. So, and they played Midwest United twice. But something that Sean and I talked about in the last Make City Make Spence, which is also up right now. Just kind of gauntlets was kind of the word of the night tonight with us on this show. It's going to be a gauntlet for Detroit City FC this upcoming season when it comes to the women's side, especially since Toledo Vila is not in there anymore. But you've got you've got really, really good teams up and down the Great Lakes division right now, whether it's
Anyone can win this division. Anyone.
Yep, anybody can win the division. But you've got AFC Ann Arbor, which you're assuming they're going to be good again. Kalamazoo has been really good for the past few seasons. Union FC Macomb, is
Which
that
has
is
a
that
deep line, which is deep in the in the travel soccer, and
yep
many
with
U.S. women who are in under teams for the U.S. national U.S.
yep
women. So
yep with the Nationals and everything. And then Midwest United, they may be
you
bringing
never
up
know with
the
them.
basement. But yeah, again, you never know with them. You don't know if they've bounced back or anything like that. But should be a fun competitive season when it comes to the women's side of things in the W League this year. So
Dare I say more? Dare I say potentially more entertaining than what the men's season could be?
possibly. I mean, it's certainly been like that. You know, last year.
Did we
Um,
get anything on their friendly today against Naples?
Let me. I mean, I know that. SofaScore was had the game. I don't know if anything was updated. Yeah, I don't see anything
Oh,
updated.
1-1 per the club's website, but no
Was it
data
one?
on it.
Was it 1-1?
So they'll be
Yeah,
back.
I mean, there's these typical Detroit City FC scores that we're seeing here with them. So, I mean, I know it's their only preseason friendlies, but Jesus Christ. Um,
You ready
I
to
mean,
freeze at Keyworth in a month? Because I'll be watching from somewhere warm.
yeah, I
AKA
am.
my house.
Yes, I am. I am ready.
Um, you mentioned Make City Make Spins. Also, check out the latest episode 200 of the Channel 451 Tom Talk, which is also out.
Yeah,
Congrats
Jam
to
makes a revelation in that episode, which is kind of gross.
got
But
upset with me. Got upset with me, which is kind of
yeah,
standard course.
which is
Oh,
it's hamburger related.
guests old and new, people old and new joined. So well done, and to everyone on that. All right, we got anything else we want to throw into?
Nope, let's quit for the night.
Yeah, all right. You already hear an auto thing about where you can all check the stuff on that. Go listen to that on there. We'll be back relatively soon. You'll see me on your circles online about how the Pistons do in Toronto. We'll keep everybody on the list with things going on. So for Adam Hernandez, Garrett Coleman's here. Thanks for checking out another edition of Detroit City Sportscast. Who knows when we'll be back, but we'll be back soon. See ya. Thanks again for checking out the latest episode of the Detroit City Sportscast. For more of this type of content, go to detroit.themajorsports.com where you can see not only this, but all prior episodes of Detroit City Sportscast, along with our other Majors Detroit content, whether it is the mulling over Detroit sports, any of our post-match recaps, or Make City Make Spends and Channel 451 for our Detroit City centric content. Additionally, we are on YouTube at The Majors TV. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we're on social media. Twitter and Instagram, we are at TMSNX Detroit. Blue Sky is TMSNXDetroit.bsky.social. Also, we are on Facebook at The Majors Detroit. And if you check out your podcast in audio form, you can find us at The Majors Detroit. Be sure to hit like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. It goes a long way towards helping out everyone here at The Majors Detroit in their efforts. Thanks again for checking this out. Catch you later.